Chào mừng đến thành phố Ho Chi Minh. Welcome to Ho Chi Minh City. Bowie Viet Walking Street, located here in Ho Chi Minh City, began as a local street with hotels, etc., but it became popular with international backpackers in the 1990s and 2000s as tourism grew and developed here, just because of the budget hotels, the restaurants, inexpensive cafes, and the bar scene. And yeah, it transformed into this crazy street full of nightlife. I also came across a new sport called dato, which is basically kicking a shuttlecock, a weighted shuttlecock, badminton shuttlecock, and passing it between each other with their feet, body, like knees. You just can't use your hands. One day I walked to the War Remnants Museum in Ho Chi Minh City, which was established in 1975, shortly after the end of the Vietnam War. It was to preserve the evidence of the conflict and the effects it had on the Vietnamese people. The Vietnam War lasted from the 1950s until 1975, and it involved the Communist North Vietnamese forces and their allies fighting against the South Vietnam and the United States. The conflict was extremely costly and devastating. More than 58,000 American service members were killed, and an estimated 2 to 3 million Vietnamese civilians and military personnel also losing their lives. The United States spent approximately $168 billion on the war at that time, equivalent now to over just $1 trillion today. The war ended on April 30th, 1975, when the North Vietnam forces captured Saigon. This museum's exhibitions cover major aspects of the war, including photographs of the fighting and its civilian victims, the use and causes of effects of Agent Orange, the prisons and wartime violence, and the international opposition to the war. One notable exhibition features Nguyen Thi Binh, a famous Vietnamese diplomat who led the National Liberation Front delegation at the Paris peace talks and was the only woman to sign the 1973 Paris Peace Accords, which helped bring the war to an end. These exhibitions were insightful, lots of history, but also could be very emotional with all the graphic details, depictions from the civilians, and the photographs that were taken, especially with the different torture devices that this museum has, and the cause of Agent Orange. I then walked to Book Street, which is the first pedestrian street dedicated for books. It was to promote Vietnamese publishing and literature culture. Around here is the Notre Dame Cathedral of Saigon. The cathedral was built during the French colonial period, construction taking place from 1877 to 1880. It is still, or was when I was visiting it, in some other part of construction as well. Not too far from here is the Saigon Central Post Office, which was built between 1886 and 1891 during the French colonial period. It combines the European architectural influences, and inside you can send postcards around the world, so it still remains as some kind of functioning post office. I then made my way to the Museum of Ho Chi Minh City. This museum was established in 1978, 3 years after the end of the Vietnam War, to preserve and present the history, culture, and revolutionary struggle of the city. Here it is housed in the former Gai Lung Palace, a French colonial building constructed between 1885 and 1890, and it served various political roles, including as a residence for the colonial officers and later as a Supreme Court of South Vietnam. The museum's exhibitions cover the city's history from ancient times through the Chiu Wing dynasty, the French colonial period, and the Vietnam War, with collections of archaeological artifacts, ceramics, coins, photographs, documents, and objects connected to the city's revolutionary history. The museum also highlights Ho Chi Minh City cultural heritage, including Gai Lung, a traditional form of Southern Vietnamese musical theater. Its theater exhibition features photographs and historical documents showing the development of this in Saigon from the earliest 20th century to present. In 1999, the museum was officially renamed the Museum of Ho Chi Minh City. Their biggest exhibition is where they're taking Ho Chi Minh City. All the new buildings, etc. That was one big aspect of one exhibition in this museum. I then made my way to the People's Committee of Ho Chi Minh City, which was constructed in 1898 and 1909 during the French colonial period. It was originally called the Hotel de Villa Ville. It served as the City Hall of Saigon and was the center of the city's municipal administration. After the reunification of Vietnam in 1975, the building became headquarters to Ho Chi Minh People's City. It can be, I believe there are tours, or rarely tours there, but it is a pretty recognizable building due to its architecture. Independent Palace, known as Dinh Doc Lap, is one of the most important historical landmarks in Ho Chi Minh City. The site originally held at the Notre-Dame Palace, built by the French in 1871 as a residence for the governor. Vietnam declared independence from France September 2, 1945, but France continued fighting to regain control, and the First Indochina War ended with French withdrawal in 1954. Vietnam was then divided into North Vietnam and South Vietnam. After the French left, the palace became the presidential residence and government headquarters of South Vietnam. The original palace was badly damaged in 1962 when two South Vietnamese pilots bombed it during an attempted coup against the president. It was demolished and replaced by the current building, designed by a Vietnamese architecture and completed in 1966. The palace became a political and military center for Vietnam during the Vietnam War. The building contains presidential offices, reception rooms, living quarters, a cinema, library, game room, and a basement command center, bunker, with tunnels and radio communication equipment, maps, and military operations rooms. The grounds also include a tennis court used by the presidential family and officials. On April 30th, 1975, North Vietnamese tanks entered the palace grounds, marking a fall of Saigon and the end of the war. Vietnam was officially reunified as the Socialist Republic of Vietnam on July 2, 1976. Saigon was officially renamed Ho Chi Minh City in honor of Ho Chi Minh, and the communist leader who had died in 1969 and led the struggle for Vietnamese independence. The palace has since been preserved as a historical site. I was fortunate enough to be here for July 2nd as they are preparing for their 50th anniversary of renaming Ho Chi Minh City from Saigon to Ho Chi Minh City. The Golden Water Puppet Theater in Ho Chi Minh City, or Vietnamese puppetry is an art form that originated in the Red River Delta of northern Vietnam around the 11th century. Traditionally, puppeteers stand in waist-deep water behind a bamboo screen and control wooden puppets with long rods beneath the water. Originally, these performances were in flooded rice fields and village ponds. The performances tell stories of Vietnamese village life, farming, legends, and history, often accompanied by traditional Vietnamese music. I explored the Ho Chi Minh Museum of Fine Arts, which opened in 1992 to preserve and display Vietnamese art and cultural heritage. The museum is housed in 3 historic buildings constructed between 1929 and 1935 for Uncle Huao, a wealthy Chinese Vietnamese businessman who owned much of the land and many of the properties in Saigon. The main building was designed by a French architect who combined French colonial, Art Deco, and Chinese architecture elements, including colorful ceramic tiles, stained glass, and decorative motifs. The museum's collections include ancient Vietnamese art, ceramics, sculptures, traditional paintings, modern Vietnamese art, and works connected to the country's revolutionary and wartime history. The buildings themselves are considered important examples of the 20th century architecture in Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City. Cafe Apartments on Nguyen Hue Street in Ho Chi Minh City is a former apartment building that was constructed in the mid-20th century. During the Vietnam War era, the building was used primarily as a residential office space, and after 1975, it continued as an apartment building before gradually becoming known for its small cafes, restaurants, boutiques, and creative businesses. Its distinctive transformation began as individual tenants converted apartments into businesses, creating the stacked cafes that made the building famous today. I walked along the Saigon River or the Ho Chi Minh waterfront. Its development started early, of course, be it trades, etc., but now is flourishing with new buildings, parks, promenade, restaurants, new modern developments. It also has the Dragon Wharf, which is closed, unfortunately, but it is a museum to Ho Chi Minh and his life. I then made my way to Bitexco Financial Tower, which has a little light museum inside and also some restaurants and businesses, etc. But this tower was built between 2007 and 2010 and officially opening in October of 2010. It stands at 262 meters with 68 floors and was one of the tallest buildings in Vietnam. It was designed by an American architect who was inspired by the lotus flower, which is Vietnamese national flower, while its distinctive helipad extends from the side of the building. You cannot go on the observation deck, but you do have a 365 view if you go around to look at Ho Chi Minh and the different parts of the city. Also, from the observation tower, there is a few exhibits. One is a women's exhibit inside the tower, which highlights the history and importance of Vietnamese traditional women's dress. The display features different periods, showing how the design changed over time and how the garments became associated with Vietnamese women, elegance, identity, and national culture. There are also other historical photographs. They also have a brief history on the Cyclo, which is a luxury taxi pushed by someone while they sit in while the person being taken around or taxied is sitting. It was a very luxurious way to get around Ho Chi Minh City, and you could just take a photo with the Cyclo. The Saigon Opera House, officially the Municipal Theatre of Ho Chi Minh City, was built by the French government between 1898 and 1900, designed by French architects. The architecture was inspired by European opera houses, and it originally hosted French theatrical and musical performances. And after Vietnam gained independence, the building was used for government and political purposes, and a meeting place for South Vietnam's National Assembly. And after the reunification in 1975, it returned as a theater and restored in the 1990s. And today it hosts Vietnamese opera, music, dance, theater, and cultural performances, which are very cool. I did see one here. The cultural performance that I saw was mainly around the traditions of Vietnam, probably South Vietnam. One day, we went to go explore the Chu Chi tunnels, which is an extensive underground network about 70 kilometers northwest of central Ho Chi Minh City. The earliest tunnels were dug by the Viet Minh during the First Indochina War against the France in the 1940s, and the network was later expanded by the Viet Cong during the Vietnam War. By the 1960s, the tunnels formed a complex system stretching roughly 250 kilometers, with multiple levels and connections between villages. The tunnels were used not only for hiding but also as homes, hospitals, kitchens, storage areas, meeting rooms, weapons workshops, and military command centers. People lived underground for long periods of time, while fighting forces above ground. The Viet Cong used the network to launch surprise attacks and move soldiers and supplies while remaining difficult to detect. During the Vietnam War, U.S. and South Vietnamese forces carried out major operations to destroy the tunnels, including bombing, underground searches, especially by tunnel rats, quote unquote. The network survived repeated attacks and was particularly important during the 1968 Tet Offense, when the Viet Cong forces used the tunnels in surrounding areas to support attacks on Saigon and other cities. We got to see these tunnels and how they reconstructed them just to make them a little bit bigger, but they were really small, especially for tall people. You would have to really get on your hands and knees to crawl in the tunnels. I was able to kind of stand a little bit, but they're still pretty small. These tunnels were eventually abandoned as a military network after the war ended in 1975. And you can still see today just one section of the tunnels, and the site serves as a historical reminder of the underground warfare and difficult conditions faced by Vietnamese fighters and civilians during the conflict. The tour then took us to Guao Mi Tin Thao Port. From here, we explored a little island to go on a little mango grove, scenic river boat ride, which was really cool. We also got to sample some local honey and see how the locals produce and make certain honey, liquor, snacks, etc. I then made my way and walked around Ho Chi Minh City, another part of Ho Chi Minh City. I do have to say that Ho Chi Minh City is very easily walkable. There are some taxi motorbikes that you can take. I think there is like a MRT subway station that you can take as well. But I do have to say that everything is pretty much walkable, and there's lots of amazing cafes and restaurants and things to see. But again, very easily walkable. Even the sidewalks, there are sidewalks that you can safely walk throughout Ho Chi Minh City. I then walked to Na Do Dun Ding Church, which is a church that was constructed in 1870 and completed in 1876 during the French colonial rule. It was built for the growing Catholic community in Saigon and was originally painted a lighter color before receiving its distinctive pink exterior in the 20th century. The church survived the Vietnam War and remains an active Catholic church today. I then walked to the Ho Chi Minh City Museum of History, which opened in 1929 and is one of the oldest museums in southern Vietnam. Its building was designed by a French architecture, combining Indonesian architecture style and Vietnamese influences. The museum traces Vietnam's history from prehistoric times through the Nguyen dynasty, with approximately 36,000 artifacts covering Vietnamese and other Asian cultures. The main exhibits include prehistoric and archaeological artifacts, ancient pottery, ceramics, bronze objects, coins, weapons, sculptures, Buddhist and Hindu religious art, and objects from Vietnam's major dynasties. There are particularly strong collections from the Champa and Ochanvan cultures, as well as the Khmer and other Southeast Asian civilizations. One of the museum's most unusual displays is Somgai Mummy, a preserved woman believed to have lived during one of the dynasties more than 200 years ago. The museum also has a collection of Buddhist statues, Vishnu and other Hindu sculptures, Asian ceramics and artifacts representing southern Vietnamese ethnic cultures, which were very cool. I did like that exhibit of the Vietnamese, the artifacts representing Vietnamese ethnic cultures. There are a lot of ethnic cultures in and around Vietnam, and not just southern Vietnam. And they had artifacts from weapons to musical instruments, different traditions in each culture, each tribe, I guess. Outside the museum, there are additional historical objects, including old cannons, and the museum complex includes the Temple of King Huang. On July 2nd was the 50th anniversary of Ho Chi Minh City, changing its name from Saigon to Ho Chi Minh. There are a number of different events happening throughout the city. Lots of firework displays, which they try to advertise as lighting up the Ho Chi Minh City. I stayed at the waterfront in the People's Committee building and saw different displays of how they celebrated their 50th anniversary of changing their name.